Welcome to Bold Talk series where creativity, leadership, ideas, innovation come together. My name is Epi Ludvik, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with John Serri, Chief Executive Officer at EyeQue, physicist, innovator, and entrepreneur, bringing the future of vision care into our hands. John, great seeing you. Welcome to our Bold Talk series. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, John, great to have you. Thank you for your time. You're building something amazing with your company. But before we do that, let's begin with your career. Your career began in physics and mathematics, working on everything from crystal surface modeling to global communication networks. What sparked your shift from hard science into entrepreneurship and health technology?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's four things that did it. First of all, just from my own background, I grew up as a poor kid, first generation family in New York City. We had no, inheritance, no money. There was nothing. So I wanted to have at least what I perceived as a middle class existence, and going into industry would certainly improve the chances of that. That was one reason. The other was research itself became very specialized. So by the time I was well into my research at MIT and I was wrapping up my PhD, there were only about 10 people in the world that would really appreciate the work I was doing. And I said to myself, yeah, 10 people, it's very interesting work. It could lead to very interesting possibilities. In fact, one of my co-workers, like colleagues, so to speak, sort of a mentor, he ended up winning the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1997. And it was sort of based on the basic type of physics that we were doing. So it could lead to something, but it was way too narrow for me. I'm more of a generalist. So, and the other thing is, I was very good at science and mathematics, but there were better people out there than me. So, I could become a professor at maybe a second rate or third rate university, but I wasn't going to become a professor at MIT or Harvard or Princeton or something like that. So, those kind of factors led me to say, yeah, let me go to industry. So even early on in my graduate career, I was pretty much set on going through the graduate school experience at MIT, and that was hard, and then moving into industry.
Nice. Now that evolved into getting to founding the EyeQue. Tell us about EyeQue in your own words, and what problem you were trying to solve back then, and how that problem or that vision has evolved now.
Right. So EyeQue, I founded a company, co-founded it with a fellow by the name of Tibor Lakse in 2015. So that's 10 years ago. We formed a company to really address one aspect of the vision market. Tibor created one of the most successful online eyeglass companies. He had a motivation for increasing the business in that direction. How do you do that? Well, maybe you can have people take eye exams, and then they can, from the results of the eye exam that they take online, they can order eyeglasses. So this was sounds like a simple process, but it's a very dramatic step because it bypasses doctors, potentially bypasses doctors. It's all sorts of things associated with that. I myself, I was about to retire actually from industry. I've been in various businesses for 40 some odd years since I left graduate school. So, but he became a friend. I found this to be technically challenging, and then we started the company. And really, the goal of the company, which is still the company today, is to get this simple do-it-yourself eye tests into the hands of people using something like a smartphone and a simple plastic optical device that attaches. With that, you can get extremely accurate measurements of your refraction, which is really tells you what you need to do to correct your vision with eyeglasses or contact lenses. And that's been the main thrust of the company from the very beginning 10 years ago.
Wow, that's amazing. So they just have to download your app and do that. Wow.
Yeah, the app is free. We've done a lot. We've been through a lot of phases with this. Right now, we only offer it with a doctor in the loop. So you take the exam. We've built a version of it that usability is always a big factor in something like this. It's not a natural experience to take a plastic device, put it on a phone, and get measurements. It's a little bit like riding a bicycle for the first time in your life. When you do that, it's a whole new experience. You're jiggling new muscles, new parts of your brain are being used. That actually happens with this. But once you get the hang of it, it's extremely accurate. But what we have now is a process where a person takes the test at home. We give them what we call try-on glasses. They can try it, then they can test how clearly they're seeing with these try-on glasses, and then that information goes over to a doctor, and the doctor can issue a prescription, and then they can go and buy eyewear either in a store or through online. So that's the process we have today.
That's amazing. Now, John, you're pushing the boundaries of ophthalmic telemedicine and at home diagnostics. What do you think is or you see the biggest misconception people have about your space?
Well, let's look at two groups of people. You have the end users, you can call them patients, or the people who take the test. And then you have medical professionals, doctors who administer eye tests. So the first group, the patients, they take these tests, and first of all, they're not aware that you can take a test like this. And then there's a natural skepticism. And people do things that they're used to doing. So they've been used to going to an eye doctor and getting an exam. This sounds a little bit radical or flaky, or maybe it's snake oil, but it's not. And people do realize that after a while. But that's a natural boundary. And just getting the word out to people, that's not easy, because there's a lot of noise out there on the internet, in ads. So how does a small company get noticed is a challenge. So if you ask someone on the street, have you heard of EyeQue? Maybe 1 in 100 in the US have heard of EyeQue. I would say something like that at this point. The doctors themselves, a new technology, and this is true with any medical technology. In fact, it's true with any time you introduce anything new into a professional or business environment, you're going to run into skepticism and fear. One of the fears is that if you have an exam like this, you can bypass the doctors and doctors won't have it. Okay, no one will say that. Okay, but there's an underlying fear with respect to that. And then there's the other fear of, does this really work well? Am I lowering the standards for patients by doing this? So these are the fears that people have. So the company has, for the last 10 years, been gradually pushing against those boundaries. Okay. And that takes time. And it's true with all medical technology. People thought, oh, we have great AI algorithms to look at x-rays for various cancer diagnosis. Radiologists will be out of work in 10 years. This was said 5 years ago, 10 years ago. That's not true. The radiologist is still there. The AI tools, and many have been approved by the FDA, but there's still a doctor in the loop. And it's going to be a long time before that process changes. So one of the things in this medical device area, anybody considering it, is things take a lot longer than you would expect. You need to be quite patient. So I think that those are sort of the boundaries, and you need to be very patient about making headway in
Yeah.
this business.
Yeah, I mean, you said it right. I mean, in the healthcare, you have a doctor in a loop that doesn't matter what technology is out there. I come from a world of a crowdsourcing, so we've been we've been doing this for the past 10 plus years, and we always look at the innovations with a human in a loop. It doesn't matter what technology is, and AI. I think what people are truly missing is that they're thinking the fear is what driving them, and not seeing the other side, how you can master the tool to get things faster, better results, and be able to have the right prompts. So it takes a right human to ask the right prompts.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's another aspect to the vision business that you have to look at the numbers. So in the United States, roughly 60% of the population needs some form of eyeglasses or contact lenses. Percent. Both of us fall in that 60%, obviously. There's a large fraction of people in the United States, and it's even worse around the world, that don't get any eye care at all. There are people living with uncorrected refractive error, and they go through life, they can't see clearly. They can't read, what's on a piece of paper. This is tragic. And this technology can allow those people access. And so that's one of the ultimate long-term goals of the company, is to get this technology out there to the people who have not had the opportunity to go visit a formal eye doctor with the bigger machines and everything in a dark room with white lab coats. That this is one of the things that EyeQue can offer.
Wow. So you're truly enabling an average person that cannot afford, or it a bit too expensive. They're able to paid with a fraction of what it costs normally, right?
This is absolutely true. And there's also, what you call medical deserts. There are regions, even in the US, where you have to drive 50 miles to go find an optometrist. That's a lot. What the price of gas today, the time it takes to drive,
And
you
go
can
back
do
and
this,
parking the car, all that stuff. Yeah.
scheduling it. So when you look at the total amount of time it takes, this is not only much less expensive, but it's much faster than
Yeah.
the traditional methods.
Wow. That's amazing. Now, with the tools, the IQ Insight and prescription renewal, you're making regular eye checkups easier than ever. Where do you see this heading in the next few years, 5 years, let's say?
I see it heading upwards. And if you look today, the number of online eye exams done by things like IQ, and there's no other companies out there that's doing exactly what IQ is doing, which is a refraction test. There are people doing vision sharpness tests online and doing something with prescription renewals. But this is less than 1% of the total exams given. This market has explosive growth. So in the United States, there was about 125 million eye exams. Regular eye exams are conducted in the United States each year. Okay. We're a fraction of that, but it can grow to 10, 20% in the next 5 to 10 years online. Now, there's one important thing I have to bring up in all fairness. We're not eliminating doctors. People still have eye problems. People get glaucoma. People get cataracts. People have diabetic retinopathy, where the retina starts to really stop functioning properly. You still need to go to a doctor. What we offer is a shortcut type of exam that just really tests how well you're seeing and what your refractive error is. And what happens is we often find when we do tests with people, they have trouble taking the exam. The results are erratic. That's often an indicator that there is some more serious underlying problems, and we can do a referral. We ourselves, IQ itself is not a company that does diagnostics. We're a provider of a service. We have doctors who use our service. We have who make connections to patients, but we ourselves are not a medical provider, so to speak. We just provide the tools and the network to do those things. So there's a lot of there's a certain amount of grayness in the business model that it takes time to appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, you're not just innovating; you're also educating the market.
Yes.
I must say, my personal story. My mom used to wear glasses, and she passed on. She's now in heaven. I remember that day that she passed on. I couldn't properly see. I couldn't read, and I took her glasses, and I saw it. Okay, I started reading, and I continued for weeks just using her glasses until I met the person, and I was just sharing that, and he said, "No, you shouldn't do that. You're damaging your eyes." And and that was a moment I said, "Oh my God, how in this world I was not thinking about that." Now this is just one
Yeah.
story. Imagine like so many. You probably have incredible amount of stories that you see
We have
all the
many stories.
yeah.
We have many stories. People in remote areas, people on farms that have trouble getting around, people who are bedridden. We've been able to can't travel, or we've been able to help them with that. So, we've dealt with some, you might call it charity type of organizations like the Oklahoma Indian Clinic. Um, they use many art devices, and they take native. This is a population in the US that doesn't have access to normal eye care. They're using IQ device to help with that. So, the market is big, and there is an education part to it. So on our website itself, we try to demystify vision. The eye is truly amazing. Okay, when you think about how much processing is done between your eyes and your brain, so you're seeing what you're seeing now. It's incredible, and no one quite fully understands it. So there's a certain complexity about the eye, but there's also a simplicity about the eye. So the eye, it's got an opening, light goes in, it gets focused to the back of the eye, and that part is fairly easy to understand. You can understand what creates nearsightedness, farsightedness, and other things, or cataracts, what the impact is. So it's an entity itself that you can teach people a lot about the basics of the eye. And in some ways, it's simpler than the heart and other things. And also, the eye is actually you hear this corny statement, it's the window to your soul, but it is the window to your blood vessels and your brain. The eye is actually part of the brain. Um, so education has always been part of EyeQue's theme.
Yeah, that's amazing. I would love to carry on this conversation. It's really interesting, John, but this is a short format, bold talks. I always ask my guests in my podcast about the question about what does the word bold mean to you?
Can you repeat that?
What does the word bold mean to you?
What word is that?
Bold, bold,
Volt?
bold.
Bold? Bold. Sorry. I mean, I see bold talks right on the screen here. Bold means to me strong, strength. It's an application. So bold is as an action means you're taking a strong action. That could be something that creates disruption. That's what I see it as bold. I don't see it as a meek talk where you're talking about not getting into trouble. It's sort of the opposite of that. It's forceful. Those are some of the words that come to mind when I hear bold.
Amazing. And a strength be with you, John.
My
Great work.
pleasure.
Congratulations. God bless you. You're doing amazing work.
Thank
Keep
you
up
so much.
pushing forward. I truly believe what you're doing. It's really amazing. And for every one of you who would love to know more about what they should look for, John, is there a link that they should look for?
Well, yeah. If you go to LinkedIn, that's a good place to find me. And I generally respond to messages I get from people. So if you want to reach out to me, use LinkedIn. Just look up John A. Serri or John Serri, and you'll see me.
Great. So yeah, look out for John Serri. John, thank you very much. Have a great
Thank you.
day. Until we see each other again, be great and be bold always.